Away we go. All right, Nadine, hit it.
When the weight feels heavy and the road is long, you've been holding on, trying to stay strong. Doctors and paperwork, so much to face, but here you found a safer place. You're not alone, we're standing by your side, helping you through every twist in the ride. With knowledge, care, and a voice that's true, the Disability Digest is here for you. We've walked the path, we've heard the fight, we know the pain that hides from sight, but every story matters, every win is real. Together we rise, together we heal. You're not alone, we're standing by your side, helping you through every twist in the ride. With knowledge, care.
All right. Hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. And to those of you who are catching the replay, welcome once again to today's live session. So, today's conversation is going to be a little different because while we often focus on disability benefits here at the Disability Digest, today's session is about something just as important. So, we will be talking about how to keep your brain healthy. I need this conversation too. And to recognize early signs of cognitive decline and how to support loved ones who may be facing memory loss. So, to those of you who doesn't know, Alzheimer's and dementia are among the leading causes of death worldwide, and they affect not only the individuals but also millions of families and their caregivers. So whether you're here for yourself or a loved one or simply wanting to learn how to protect your brain health, you are exactly in the right place. So, of course, we are joined as always by Brian Therian, our very own founder of the Disability Digest. So, Brian spent 2 decades helping people get, keep, and maximize their benefits. And he is deeply passionate about helping our community live better, longer, and healthier in their lives. And of course, Philip, um, he leads a supportive online community for people navigating their disability process. And he also partners with us to help members to take actions, stay compliant, and maximize their benefits as well. And of course, last but not the least, we are thrilled to welcome Jordan Jo Cotto and her beautiful um, partner, Jules St. Clair. So Joe is from Alzheimer's Association of Vermont chapter, and she brings an extensive experience supporting individuals and families impacted by um, Alzheimer's and dementia. And I'll give the floor to Brian to tell us more and introduce Joe to us.
Yes, thank you, Nadine. Welcome, everybody. Thanks in advance, Joe and Jules, for doing this event. And I'm going to share my personal story and how I'm tied to this cause, not only for disability recipients, but I recently participated in an event for Alzheimer's that I was going to put the shirt on today, but it's a little snug and I didn't want to scare everybody off for next week. So I'm just holding it up. But maybe in today's event, you can share with us what our time now is But I met Joe at this event and I'm like, you know what? I wanted to do something to make a difference so that we could help people understand what is going on out there with the dementia, Alzheimer's. It's I think for me, it's kind of one of the things I'll say. It's like when you get a new pair of shoes and you don't think anybody else has it or has them. And then all of a sudden you start to notice that everybody's got them. It's like that's happened to me. So this has become a big, big issue. And Joe is a fellow Vermonter, which is, I think we've had one other Vermonter on this show, and it was this year. No, two other Vermonters, and one of this year, because usually people are from everywhere. So I thank you very much. I know you have a background prior to joining the association with working with individuals that have sickness or injury. So this isn't like your first experience in doing work like this. And I know from my learning experience, it takes a special type of character to effectively deal with like dementia, the related issues of Alzheimer's. So thank you in advance. Um, you know, maybe you have or haven't heard of like some of the people that have been impacted like this, Ronald Reagan, Margaret Thatcher, Winston Churchill, Glenn Campbell. These are all prominent people and Bruce Willis, who has a very public life with this situation. But as Nadine mentioned, the Alzheimer's dementia is like 6 or 7 on some lists for people for the cause of death, but there's others that have it at 3, like Peter Attia. And so understanding like as a disability applicant and recipient, one of the messages I want to get out to people is that helping you get approved for your disability benefits and keeping your benefits is one thing. And you can live with oftentimes with chronic pain like degenerative disc disease or diabetes, a lot of the disabling conditions you can live with. But if you lose your mind and your ability to cognitively process things and relate, for me, from my observation, it's like the knockout punch. So this is the one thing that you really want to do what you can do to avoid. And that's what we're going to learn about here today from Joe, because there is some things that you can definitely manage. And so that's one of the reasons why we are doing that or doing this. And the other one is for me personally, I've been my mother's caregiver since November of 2023. I lived with her for a while and now she's in assisted living. I'm going to get through this without crying. But excuse me. It's not easy, I'll tell you that. To watch somebody go through, the decline that this does. So I am in hopes that this resonates with people out there. So I thought I'd get through this without crying, but it's not easy. So thank you anyway, Joe. So first of all, as I get my act together, one of the things I want to talk about is the causes. What causes this? Like my mom says, I don't know how this happened to me. Like, right. And a lot of people don't, they innocently don't. So, and I'll share my screen because I have some props up here from your website here. Yeah. Maybe difficult to see, but perhaps this will give you some guidance in the direction that we're going to go. Am I on the wrong page, Joe?
No, you got it. Do you want me to talk through some of the causes?
Yeah, people are like, God, I don't want to get that. Like, what could possibly
Yeah.
cause it? Like, what?
Well, I have good news and bad news. And the good news, I'll start with the good news because I like good news first, is that we can all start today, like this moment moving forward, making some very small lifestyle changes to help prevent up to 60% of symptoms.
Wow.
And I will just say it right now because it's what we're talking about all the time. That's getting exercise and eating healthy. Those are the top two. And we've known this is not new information at all, but it actually helps prevent the protein building up. So, really, just thinking about that as we keep talking today. And the bad news is that age is the number one uh, cause of Alzheimer's, other dementias. And I joke around with my kids, we're all getting older by the second. So
Right.
we can't reverse aging. There's no fountain of youth yet that I know of.
Mhm.
So age is the number one risk factor. And then there's also genetics. We actually speak to a lot of families through our helpline, and it's something that might be in the family. So be aware of that as you're talking to your doctors. Or you might be the first person to start having symptoms. There's no guarantee there, but there are ways to work with your doctor to figure out kind of which category you fall in as a patient. And then kind of back to the eating healthy and exercising, cardiovascular health is super important. And like I said, starting today. So when I first saw this program that we deliver, which is called Healthy Living for Your Brain and Body, which is one of our regular programs that we deliver once a month,
Mhm.
we talk about building it in by doing things such as parking a little bit further away from where you're going that day, if you can, if you're physically able to, or however you have mobility, or taking the stairs instead of the elevator. So my first um, response to this 4 years ago was I was at a conference and everybody was in line for the elevator, and I'm like, I'm going to take the stairs because I can. And I felt, mind you, it was 12 flights of stairs and I was wearing sneakers. So you got to have the right shoes for this.
Right.
But I felt so much better and I didn't have to wait for the elevator. So just those little things, if you can, make a huge difference, right? And then uh, we also talk about isolation, which there was research a couple of years ago that one of my other interns found that isolation is as bad as chain smoking. So thinking
What?
about, yeah, it can affect your brain the same way. That's what scientists are saying. So thinking about, and I know it's hard for you introverts out there, thinking about how you can be with other people, even if it's just going to a library, coffee shop, and just be around people can even be helpful for your brain and heart health. So just thinking about those things, and part of our work is really getting community together. That's a really important part of the work that we do. And that's really the programs that I manage, is getting community together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, may I ask a question?
Yeah, of course.
Can we talk about the plaque thing and how this diet and exercise may address the can you pronounce it for me? It starts with an A, right? The plaque.
The plaques and tangles.
Yeah, it's really what causes this is a plaque that's built up in your brain. So I
It
guess
actually slows the buildup.
okay, so it does. It slows the
Yes.
buildup.
Yes. Not, it doesn't stop it. We don't have a cure yet, right? But it slows the buildup. And take away all the stuff that we're talking about with Alzheimer's and dementia. People always say they feel better if you are what you eat. So
Yeah,
even making that change without having any memory issues, you'll probably start to feel better. I know that
yeah,
I do.
yeah, yeah. For those of you out there, we are going to have a Q&A, and you're welcome to put your questions in the chat, and then some other information at the end. But we're going to definitely roll through. I want to, learn a little bit more about this. So we talked about the causes, and we're starting to edge into the prevention. But there's been like some sleep conversation. There's
Yes.
also been some hearing loss conversation, Joe, like people that have hearing loss, there's a connection to Alzheimer, etc. Can you speak to those? Like if
Yes.
somebody has those, you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna be right. So
Yes, there's a direct link between having hearing loss and possibly developing dementia or Alzheimer's. And that this came out, I think, a couple of years ago in the news. So we were right all over that. And our first thing is when you go to get your annual physical, which I hope you all engage in. It's a really important part of health. Asking for if you have concerns, asking for a hearing test, right? Because even something as simple as getting a hearing aid can support prevention, of
Hmm.
Alzheimer's or dementia. And that's
Hmm.
proven with this new science. So that's something to be aware of, right? And then also just thinking about how that looks maybe in a group setting or with family or friends. So it can also increase isolation because if you can't hear what's
Yeah.
happening, you can't feel like you're a part of the conversation. So therefore your anxiety might increase or your depression. So really it's really important to as a human to feel like you're a part of something. So it also there's a science piece which is getting support with how to make it better, but there's also the emotional piece and the mental health piece of being able to feel part of the community.
Yep. I can
And
see
there's
that's
actually, sorry, one more thing. There's dinner conversations. There's guided dinner conversations available. So if you're hosting Thanksgiving, right, that's just around the corner, and you're worried about somebody in your family who has some memory loss or hearing, there's guided conversations available just for this topic, which I think is really cool to be able to share with family and friends ahead of time.
I'm not, I don't quite get that. When you say guided conversation around
Yeah.
the hearing piece of it?
So around so if you're at Thanksgiving and maybe there's some issues with people engaging in conversation, you can before ahead of time, this is all prep. You can let your family and friends know who's ever there, hey, so and so might have some hearing loss or some signs of memory loss.
Okay.
So we're going to be talking about things that they can actually engage in. So they feel like they're part of the community. Because if you've noticed, I don't know if any of you have noticed this before with your family or friends, there's lots of topic jumping at a Thanksgiving conversation. And maybe it's not anything to do with the person, but we try to really pull them in with these conversation topics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's a, I mean, that's very forward thinking, planning dinner conversations.
Yeah, it's called topic planning, and it is
Yeah.
proven to be effective for mental health for individuals with Alzheimer's or dementia.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All
It's
right.
harder for families than I would like people really have a hard time with that. And
Yeah.
so I just say, who's the best person in your family to navigate this?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, we're on item 3 right now. Focus, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got you with that. Then the next one is there's some sleeping disorder connection.
Yes, there is for sure. Sleeping is the I forget what number it is. I'm gonna just grab my little cheat sheet here. Whoop, dropping healthy living for your brain and body. I keep it to my desk at all times. And sleeping is one of the 10 things that you can do to prevent the protein buildup. So scientists recommend 6 to 8 hours of sleep a night. So if you have any sleep disturbances, it's good to talk to your doctor about that. Maybe even have a sleep study.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So is it snoring or sleep deficiency or both?
I think snoring is a symptom of what it could be, and also what scientists say is that sleep apnea is can be a real issue, which is when you stop breathing while you're sleeping. So being
Okay.
aware of that, and I know that you can get a CPAP machine through a sleep test, and that can really help prevent.
Right, right. So I just, while we're kind of going through our program here, one of the things I just want to give a shout out for those that are listening out there is there's a contact number where you can get more information. You're going to learn about more that you can get, but I want to give that, if you give that number a shout out now, just for those, and then we'll also repeat it at the end, where you connect, learn more. Maybe you're a caregiver, maybe you think you're a patient, maybe you want to help out and volunteer or donate, any of those. Um, let's share that number right now, and then we'll do it again later on in the program. Or I could do
Would
it.
you like me to share it, Joe?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Yeah, so the number is 1-800-272-3900. It's
Mhm.
open 24/7, and there are experts on the other end of that line available in I don't even know how many, like over 200
Over 200
languages.
languages represented.
Yeah,
Yes.
yep,
Yep.
Wow, that's
yep.
impressive. So you have, like, are they all remoted or?
Yes, it's a remote position. There are people that our team does. There is a main office in Chicago where a lot of the individuals work, but that is also remote. We in New England, we have a team that works out of Massachusetts. So if somebody from Vermont calls in, they talk to a care consultant in Massachusetts, and we all work together to triage the. It's all emotional support basically.
It
But you
is.
can also call to register for an event. You can call to say, tell me more about brain health. I don't know what's happening with my body right now or with my mother's brain right now. You can call to ask. There's no silly question for helpline.
And that's pretty significant. So you're getting a lot of calls then, if you have
We
stuff
average,
like that.
right now, we're averaging 35 calls a month
35 calls a month?
for Vermont.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is not high compared to the,
No.
yeah, exactly. So I would say it's an underutilized resource that we have.
Okay, because there's like 14,000 people in Vermont, right? So
Yes,
that's pretty low numbers.
it is. Yes, it's low numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I will say I have found great help in a support group. Rhonda.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. Um, that runs it. Shout out to Rhonda if you're out there. Um, no, she does a great job. It's been very helpful for me, and there's others in there. And yeah, I think getting around other people and learning things has been yeah, it's been, I don't know how people would do it without doing that from my
That's how I feel, and that's how I started by
perspective.
being when I worked at Howard Center, which was a mental health organization in Vermont. That's how I help people with engaging with those, and now
Mhm.
I help people with starting and maintaining them. So,
Yeah,
Virgins is one of 13 support groups that meets in person in Vermont, and my role is to support the facilitators and the members that engage with them.
yeah. Nice.
That's
Nice.
wonderful. Yeah, Rhonda's wonderful. I hope she's listening today or she's listening to the recording.
Yeah. Um, how we doing? Um, yeah. So let's go back to prevention and
Yes.
the individuals that we talked about in the beginning, like the high profile Reagans, Glenn Campbell's, et cetera, of the world, they're diagnosed later. Um, and I don't expect that they had any idea about healthy prevention or anything like that. So for individuals out there, I guess one of the things I want to ask is like, is there like, is it is it too early? Is it too late? Is there any of that? Like, should people be working on this, like concerned about this in their 40s?
Yes. I will tell a story for some reference. So this is before I did this job. I used to be in a book club in Seattle when I worked in the disability world, in the recruiting disability world
Yeah.
for corporate. And one of the book club members was a yoga teacher. She did hot yoga, and she said she met a 90-year-old man who was on 9 medications. And she said, I'm going to have you come to hot yoga every day for a month and see how you feel. And he was worried about his heart, given that it was hot yoga. And he went every day and he just laid there. And he was like, he just laid in the back row and he felt so much better. So she said, now let's try 2 more months and then see how many medications we can get you off because it doesn't feel good. So he ended up, I think, going off 3 or 4 of them within the first 6 months of doing hot yoga. So that's just one example of how it might support brain and
Right,
heart health. Yep.
right. Yeah, I mean, for our audience out there, mobility oftentimes is compromised because of
Sure.
their situation. So that's a really, really good example. Uh,
Yes.
and there's like chair yoga. I don't know where that fits into the category, but that's like that has a wide spectrum of availability.
Yes.
Um, okay, so starting as young as possible. I mean, it's just living a healthy lifestyle is what is being communicated here, which everybody
Yes.
should do. And, Nadine and Philip, it's part of our corporate culture here. They're probably, they're like, oh my gosh, here we go again. But
That's how my team feels too.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, it's key. Um, as far as the diet is concerned, one of the things I have noted here is a Mediterranean diet. And,
Yes. Yep.
people might be thinking, do I have to go to the Mediterranean, eat and come back? Or like, how does that work? Can you explain, like, what is a Mediterranean diet?
I wish that was the requirement because I'd be all in. So Mediterranean diet is it's stuff that we already know, but I'll just review it. It's high on lean meats, proteins, nuts, fats, fruits, vegetables.
Okay.
So I'll go slower. Lean meats, proteins, nuts, fats, fruits, vegetables.
Hmm.
So just thinking about making small swaps. So what I tell people, because this is a hard concept for folks, like let's say you're at you know, at a friend's house and you're having dinner and maybe you just have one helping, or you add in uh, an extra vegetable instead of another piece of bread. So thinking about what to add in, not necessarily to take away.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Or adding in, they say this is something that I struggle with. I'm trying so hard. The latest is to do a little bowl of fruit for dessert, but as a Scandinavian, that like kills my soul a little bit. But that's what they say is something that can help with brain and heart health is swapping things like that.
Well, in the world I live in, cheat days are a-okay.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that, Brian.
Um, when you reference the combination, like what percentage should be protein? Is there any guidelines you have for that? So if people are looking at their plate and they want to know, okay, what are we talking about? Because I'm gonna get a big fat steak, two peas, and I'll be good, or
The highest percentage should be vegetables. And I think that it's something that people know anyways, but they don't want to do it. So
yeah,
it's, and protein should be about a little bit less than the vegetables. It depends on the protein that you're eating too. Like if you're eating, a fish, it's not the same thing as a steak. Fish is healthier for you than steak. So it just depends on the type of protein.
okay, all right.
We
And
really
then
encourage fish a lot.
encourage fish.
Yes.
All right, good. Uh, Then, as far as prevention, there's the management of like some markers like blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar. So that has an impact, which is not hearing loss, which is not what was the other one? Sleep disorders. But these
Right.
are other possible things that can contribute to the cause.
Yes.
Perhaps that
Anything,
is tied back to the conditions that we looked in that big long list there.
so honestly, it's hard to hear. Anything that affects your heart can affect your brain. So if you think about
Okay.
it that way, so anything that you have that's happening with your heart that's not healthy can affect your brain health. So we really look at cardiovascular health a lot and what are the underlying symptoms and how can we get to a place where we're eating healthier and exercising more to support that those levels going. Usually it's going down, like people have high
Mhm.
cholesterol or high blood pressure, so trying to
Mhm.
lower those. And the reality is, and this is really hard to talk about because it's caregiver stress, is that stress can also affect those things. So as you said, you engage in a support group that can help decrease stress,
Yeah.
that can actually help with both heart and brain health, sometimes even more than what you're putting in your body because you feel um less agitated. So it's really important to take, like, when you feel, when I talk to students because they're learning about this too, and Jules knows this. When we talk about stress, what does that feel like for you? Some people don't even know when they're stressed. So it's even like, do your palms sweat? Do you feel, does your heart beat faster? Some people even have like their ears will ring. So just talking through like what do those symptoms look like and what happened before those symptoms happened. And a lot of caregivers will tell me that what stresses them out the most is hearing the same thing over and over again.
Well, all right. I can relate to that.
Yes,
Quick, real life yesterday example is
right.
I received three calls within a half hour. And the last one was like, where you been? I haven't heard from you in a while. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, Mom, it's been 7 minutes. I guess so. But yeah, it's it's tough. But the only thing that I have learned actually, through support groups and others is there is a massive growth opportunity here if approached that right way. And when I started to have that mindset, it made a difference for me. And what I mean by growth is you can't, it's difficult to control, especially parents, um, their condition. And they don't know that they're repeating,
Correct.
right? And
And they're
so,
not doing it on purpose.
no, no. And
Although it feels like that sometimes.
Yes, so the back to the stress thing, Joe, is people are in this, oh my God, I can't believe they want to control the whole process and
Yes.
I've tried, doesn't work. So
Nope.
once you just like, it's in God's hands, you got to let it go and find a way to support
Yeah.
um in your own way. It sounds really simple and I don't expect for people that are in a similar situation that it's going to be easy to get there like that, but that's worked for me, right? So manage the stress for the patient, manage the stress for the caregiver. Yeah.
And another really, this is something that actually came up in the screening walk with me, which was a couple of weeks ago that we all went to through the Vermont Film Festival. One of the specialists on the show said that caregivers have a higher likelihood of dying first
Wow.
because of stress levels. I
Yeah.
didn't know that before the movie, and this is my work. So I was like, wow, that's the scariest thing I've ever heard. And I think that that's when I talk to people, when I talk to families, it is, and I'm also in a caregiver situation myself, with my mom who's very early on, but we're starting to have those conversations with the family. It is very stressful, even if you're not the main, even if you're someone that just calls home or visits every once in a while. So I understand that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I wish you well in your journey. I
Ah,
don't
thank
really,
you.
I don't really know what else to say, but
Well, I have a great support network and it's my work, so hopefully it goes better.
yeah, you ought to crush it. Well, I'll
I
share this with you.
know.
My sister Cindy works at Wake Robin and memory
Oh,
care,
okay.
and she's been there for like a long, long time. And
Yep.
even the fact that she does this for work, I mean, she's there are times when it's just like really difficult for her.
Yes.
And well, I mean, it's never easy.
So,
So
Brian, when your mom is calling you like that and saying, that she wants to keep talking to you and forgetting, what are you saying to her to help her feel better in the like what is the language that you use to support her in the moment?
I go with the flow.
Okay.
I don't say you just called 7 minutes ago. A version of me a while back, I would have done that. But I found what I've learned is that, you know, confronts the situation, she doesn't get like angry like typically, but it's just again, you can't control it and it's not her. So yeah.
And
Well,
this is kind of a silly thing that I say when I give talks statewide. Really, the people that come to me are the ones that have a hard time with loss of control. They don't know how to be in this relationship where they're not in control. So, and I'm not, I'm more type B. So I'm really good about being like, this is really something that I can step away from, or this is something I can engage with, like you're saying, but not, I know that we're in, you know, 2025, but mom's talking about a bike accident from when she was a kid. That's not hurting anybody right now. She just wants
no.
to talk about it, and that's okay. And it might have happened yesterday in her mind, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
it's really hard if you haven't. I mean, I've had 4 years of training in this. I can't imagine, going back 10 years and maybe having those same conversations, how hard that would be.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's one of the things that I've done to kind of gauge the progression and stay in points where we can have engaging conversations is I go back in time. So my mom was born in 1932. And so her memory through her childhood and she was married and she has, excuse me, she has five children, but she had five. Now she's only remembers four, but one of us is out. We don't know which one. But my point is I go back and I have those conversations with her, and that's an area where I find that I can engage with her. If it's talking about like I'm going down there, we're having a pizza party tonight. Now, if we have pizza and we go down to her room, she's gonna forget she had pizza.
Yep.
So you have to kind of pick your points where you can engage, and that's successful. Like I've gone down there and doing a scrapbook with photos, her old photos that weren't put in books, and we'd go back through them, and that all of that is like it's still locked in. So it's really interesting how the condition is like more recent, and perhaps as it progresses, like instead of being 5 years that you can't remember, it's 7 or 10. I don't know how that works, but um, I find it interesting. So
And
perhaps,
it's also challenging because in this culture that we're living in, we're very fast paced. Let's remember what happened. You know, trivia is very important. What happened 2 seconds ago in the news is very important. And so really our work at the Alzheimer's Association Vermont chapter is being in the moment with the person, right? And not like if they forgot something, that's okay. And we don't really need that in the moment. So being in the moment, cherishing those stories from childhood, remember looking at photo books. I don't think my kids went to my mom's house today and they're like, Mom, what's a photo book? And I was like, oh no.
yeah, it's a new
I have a
world.
7 and a 14-year-old, two boys. And
Yeah,
so we went through photo books and they said, this is kind of more fun than social media. Okay, well,
yeah.
yeah.
Social media 1.0.
That's where it all began.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so, there's some things on prevention that, have really intrigued me. Like, there's speaking of social media, Dr. Peter Attia, who's got this whole like healthcare 3.0, which is very much in line with not using the traditional medicine system, but
Yeah.
using a lot of things that you had mentioned about diet and exercise
Yes.
and all of that. And so there's a lot of awareness there. And then also Bill Gates is investing a lot of money into this area. So it's very encouraging to see that, things are like there's people out there working. So I don't know if you can speak to this, but the the shirt here that says our time is now, and there is no cure, but is there, I mean, what is this all about?
Our time is now means we are in the era of treatment, which when I first started this job, we were not in the era. That was 4 years ago. We were not in the era of treatment. We are now. There are two disease modifying treatments available right now. It does not cure. They do not cure, but they support with decreasing disease progression. So this was not available to us even 2 years ago. So what we want people to do if they're starting to maybe show signs or they know someone that is really get to your doctor and find out where they're at with it, if there is any memory loss, where they're at with the disease progression, if there is a disease progression. So the time is now is we want people to get engaged
I
with,
got it.
yep, definitely. And what we want people to start with is our walk, is showing up at walk, and
Yeah.
I that's where we met, which was wonderful. And you met my colleague Meg Pleat, I believe, who's our policy director, maybe as well. She was at the table across from mine.
Oh
So
yeah,
we
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
we work together a lot. It's lots of intersections with programs and policy.
Hmm.
So getting involved right now, we actually have a campaign. We are collecting Mega's collecting 200 caregiver stories, and that will help us get more respite care in Vermont. So we're really looking forward to seeing how that pans out for next year. So
Yeah.
yes, we'd love to see you all at Walk. That's where all the magic happens and the fundraising and the energy. There was over 900 people there this year at
Oh,
the walk that you went to, the Champlain Valley Walk.
I thought there was a lot more than that. It was an amazing event.
It felt like more than that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I really did. I mean, it was more like a party than a walk, and it was really well put on, and it was a beautiful day, and
We're
so
so glad you enjoyed it. And that was
yeah.
actually, this is fun fact. That was my first year actually walking with Jules. Jules and I walked together. So we were it
Oh,
was really usually I'm working, but I got the hall pass to go on the walk. So that was really
good,
fun.
good for you. Trip through the
Yes.
museum. Yeah,
Yes, it was very fun.
yeah. We're going to get into a Q&A in a few minutes. So for those of you out there that are listening, wherever you are, and are here, except for TikTok, we don't have anybody monitoring our chat on TikTok. You can come on over to YouTube, Disability Digest, and enter your question there, though. But we'll take those questions, and then we have some other ones that have been loaded up. But I wanted to talk about like the caregiver perspective. Is there any other like anything else you could share for caregivers, like principles, tips? Um, yeah, it's concerning about, the mortality rate for them, but hopefully there's something that they can learn.
Yeah, not my, I shared the worst case scenario, which is mortality rate, but also on the flip side, I've met so many caregivers who have channeled their energy into art or something new that they're learning, and that
Ah,
helps with caregiving experience. I was actually just at Maple Ridge for a program in Vermont, and this couple came, and the husband was saying, and this was his mother-in-law that was living there, was saying that he started learning, he was, I want to say he was in his 60s, he started learning piano, so that he could. And piano was as I played piano as a kid. It's not easy to learn at all. So I was like, good for you. So that helps also with prevention. But he's learning something new, and he's supporting feeling better because your body feels better when you learn something new. So he was really excited about that. So
and
that's
this was
what.
a caregiver?
Yes. Yep. And his
Yeah.
wife was there, and she goes, "Yeah, he's learning piano."
Yeah.
So at least it's
Probably
not
didn't mean,
the
I don't
piccolo.
expect she meant to say that. That doesn't, yeah.
We were all laughing about it, so it was really funny.
Yeah.
So that they were, it was a good, sounds like they all knew each other, which was great. That's what you'd want in a group like that.
Yeah.
And just thinking about caregiving from a more overarching perspective. So we want people to ask for help, and we want people to feel comfortable doing that. And we want people who are caregiving to also accept help. People often say, no, I'm all set. I hear that all the time.
Uh,
Exactly. And we want you to say, yes, please, because
yeah.
it will inevitably help you feel better. And asking for help is not a weakness, it is a strength.
Hmm.
So, and
Yeah.
I think that it's somehow because of stigma and culture has become somewhat of a weakness, and we think it's a strength at the Alzheimer's Association. So, and if you are somebody who wants to help, don't say, how can I help you? Say, I'll bring you a dish, or I'll come over and sit with your loved one for an hour. Will you go out and have a cup of coffee? Or give a specific way of helping, not how can I help you? Because caregivers have a lot going on. They're taking care of someone 24/7. It is highly stressful. Even when they leave, they're still thinking about their loved one. So giving a specific can be really helpful when you're trying to support somebody.
That's great advice. Yeah. Yeah. The breaks were really critical for me. Like
Yes.
I just, I just have to go away. I do like, 5, 6 weeks at a time, and then like, hey, right?
Yep.
So and maybe not everybody can do that. And yeah, when you leave and somebody's there that you can trust, it gives you peace of mind, and you don't have that. It's a little sticky, but makes a difference.
Definitely.
Yeah, yeah. This is great. Let's give that number a shout out again, and then we'll get into Q&A. Jules, you want to hit it one more time?
Sure, happy to. It's 1-800-272-3900. And like I said, available in 200 plus, over 200 languages. They're experts on the end of that line. Please, please call it.
Yes, well done.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Jules.
Thank you.
And
Good.
to those of you who are watching us live or watching the replay, I also posted the number in the comments so that you'd be able to
Thank
take
you,
Perfect.
note of it.
Nadine.
Perfect. Great.
Wonderful.
Great. All right, Nadine,
Uh,
take it away.
all right. So, the most awaited part of our event every week is the Q&A. But today's event, I wanted us to focus our Q&A on Alzheimer's and dementia. But if you're here and you would like help with your disability benefits, please know that you can still come. I mean, you can become a free member at the Disability Digest, and I'm going to be posting the link to register. Or you can also chat directly with our friendly, trusted AI resource, Benny. Um, if you have any questions relating to your disability. So I'll be posting those links, and the floor is now open if you have any questions pertaining to our discussion today. And you can either send your question in the comment, or you can join us live via Zoom. I'm posting the link to join the call. Okay. So while we wait for someone to join us in a call, we have a question here in the comment. He's asking, what about tinnitus? Does it also affect our brain health? Because we talk about hear loss, right? What about tinnitus, like ringing in
The
the ear?
ringing in the ear.
Oh yeah, anything related to hearing, definitely talk to your doctor about that. I've not heard that specifically. This is actually the first time I've heard of that condition, but I would definitely, if there's any concerns, that's something to talk to your doctor about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Another question, can hormone imbalance in women have an effect on Alzheimer's or dementia?
Yes, and 2/3 of women have Alzheimer's or dementia. So it's a staggering statistic. It's because of the stress. It's because of we live longer, and age is the number one factor. So, and the hormones, there's actually just a podcast about that. If you all follow podcasts, we had one at Speaking of Alzheimer's about this very topic. And there's a link between high perimenopausal symptoms, menopause, and dementia. So, and there's also some intersections that can be confusing. Like, I'm sure you've all heard of brain fog, right? So brain fog is a symptom of both perimenopause and could be something Alzheimer's related. So really just being aware of those things and talking to your doctor about those things.
Did you say 75% of those diagnosed with Alzheimer's are women? 2/3?
That's what our stats say, yes.
Hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was 1/3. My apologies.
All right, so that
1/3,
means
not
one third
75%.
1/3 are female and then 2/3 are men.
The opposite. I am
Oh.
not a statistician for a reason, Brian. I'm the care and support person.
I think we're
I
good
hope
on
you're
our
all laughing
numbers,
right
though.
now. Yes. More women than men.
Got it.
Yes.
You know what? This is just very timely because over the weekend I watched a movie in Netflix. It's a Filipino movie titled Lasting Moments. It's a story about a couple who got engaged and their relationship started out like very good and they're about to get married, but then one day the guy suddenly became very forgetful and it
Oh,
messed up the relationship that the woman even left him. And then she found out 5 years later that the reason behind that is that the guy has early onset of Alzheimer's.
oh my goodness.
So yeah, and, I guess when that movie was shown on Netflix, it made me realize like, oh, this condition is, it lacks awareness among the Filipino people, and I realized that, oh, how many couples could actually be experiencing this, right?
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, how can we tell the difference between normal forgetfulness, and how do we know that it's already like a, a a symptom for an early onset of Alzheimer's or dementia?
That is a great question. And I'll give you a couple examples that are general and specific, because I like both general and specific myself. So, forgetting recently learned information. So, if somebody's asking the same questions over and over again, that's a sign, right? So, if somebody says, "Where did you put my phone?" And you say it's on the counter. And then maybe even a minute later, "Where did you put my phone?" That can be a concern. Because if your brain is a healthy brain, you wouldn't do that. You'd go grab your phone. So that's an example of what it could look like. Also, forgetting important dates. So forgetting if you're somebody, and this is a tricky one because not everyone's good with dates to begin with. So I had this one. Um, husband say that he's never remembered his anniversary. That's his wife's job. And I was like, okay, so let's try something else. So it really, what we're talking about too is a change in behavior or change in tracking. So let's say I wore glasses and I took them off and then I went looking for them and then I forgot what I was doing. And then I forgot the whole thing and I didn't come back to tracking them. If you stop tracking, that can be a sign. So the important thing is that you keep remembering what you're looking for, right? Another thing to think about is increasing need for memory aids. Now, I encourage memory aids at all ages because they can be really helpful, especially as somebody that worked in the disability community for years. Like, I'm all about using whiteboards and calendars and memory boards and storyboards. But if somebody has a hard time using them, if they already knew how to, that could be an issue or a sign. Now, what we jokingly say in our programs is that, let's say it's a microwave and you get a new microwave and you don't know how to program it. That is not a sign. That is just needing help from somebody else if it's a complicated device.
Okay.
So making sure that there's a distinction between the two.
Mhm.
The most recent one we heard about forgetfulness on our training calls is you might be looking for your car key. We all lose our car keys sometimes. The issue is if you find the car key, but then you forget about how it functions or what it is. So that might be a important sign to keep in mind and to talk to your doctor about.
So a lot of people out there going,
No, I know. And I actually have a
gonna
key
be
bowl.
okay.
Yeah, you're okay. And if you don't know, give us a call and it's anonymous and you can talk more about these things.
Yeah.
So those are just some like a more extreme case. Um, Somebody drove to a park and they turn around and they didn't know which car was theirs.
Yes.
So that's a safety issue, right? So we don't want it to get to that point. We want to get detection before it gets to a point where you're lost in a park.
On that note, what people I've been asked, maybe 4 or 5 times, like, can you explain to me, like, what is it like? What is your mother experiencing, right? So I use a similar analogy. I say, I think the best I can explain it is this. If you could picture yourself, I usually use the Burlington Airport. You went on a flight, you came back, and you had your car on the third floor, and you go
Yep.
there and you can't find your car, right? So that's one situation. But now think about it. Now you can't find the remote control. You can't find your glasses. You forgot to turn the stove off, right? And eventually it gets worse and worse, and the memory is like you forget your toileting.
It piles up.
Yeah, you just the mind just doesn't remember. That's the best explanation I can provide. And you don't want it. All right, Nadine. Sorry to steal the show. Oh, you're
Look
on
forward
mute,
to
I think. There we go.
Philip might have some questions as well, from his group or yeah.
All right. I'm going to speak from experience here since I believe I am the elder in the group. And my own experience, um, Nadine and Brian both know recently I've had 3 strokes, and my memory is not all there, and I have trouble remembering things. So this conversation today really hits home with me because I get thinking about moving forward. What am I going to be able to do to help with educating my children? I have 3 boys, and I want them to understand, how they can help me. So my question would be to Jordan is how can how do others my age, I'm 64, present it to their children as far as educating them on how to help their their son or daughter or wife or daughter-in-law, whoever it may be, help them, um, move forward in keeping them educated on how to help. Does that make sense?
Yes, I'm totally following you, and that's a great. I love this topic because it's so important for families and friends. Uh, so it's it's culture dependent. So it depends on your family culture, and every family culture is different. I'll tell you about my family to start. So my family is from Vermont. My parents are originally Midwestern. They do not want to be told what to do from their daughters. There's three daughters in the family. So what we have done is we talk about what's happening with mom, the three of us, and also, because of my role, I let her know that I'm here to support her, but that's not a normal situation. My sisters are more of a normal situation because they're not in my role. And what we try to do, or at least what we try to do, is just keep it really light. We're a very sarcastic, fun-loving family. So we don't the suggestion is to have a conversation, seriously, and sometimes it's better to keep it light. So if you see something that's, if letting your kids know ahead of time, hey, if you see something that's a little bit off, can you just let me know? Because I'm not sure. Just keeping it really casual too can be more helpful, and also finding a way to say to slow down. There in the movie that we watched, Walk with Me, they were having a dinner conversation, and Jules probably remembers this. And the kids who were in, I believe, their 20s were like, Dad, we don't want to slow down for you. This was in a movie, a documentary of their family. And the dad said, Well, why? And they said, Well, why should we have to slow down for you? So it's interesting to hear from the kids' perspective. And they loved their dad. They didn't understand that it was a brain disease. So also education can really be helpful. Everyone that's gone through our caregiver education course, it's an empathy builder. We want people to build empathy, and it's yes, your role, Philip, is to share some of these things, but really the onus is on the family and caregivers to really move around it and support you as much as they can.
Yeah.
So direct communication is crucial, definitely, and in a way that matches your family culture.
Yeah. Well,
Great question.
I think also, and I'm not saying this to be prejudiced one way or the other, but it seems like the female role, or mothers, daughters, are more, I don't want to say more concerned, but it seems like they're more involved than on the. I'm not saying my three boys don't care; they do, and they're there when I need them.
Sure. Yeah.
It doesn't seem as it's more prominent with them than it is with the girls in my family, my daughter-in-laws and my granddaughter. I don't know if that is something you've come across either.
Yes. Generally speaking, women tend to get more involved in care across the board. And I think that there's a happy medium, that there's something that both sides can learn, because it's not, you don't want to get too involved. You got to have your own life, but you also want to get a little engaged so that you're helping. There's like a happy medium. And I only have boys in my family. I have two young boys. And I think that I would, if this was for me, I would say I would give them a little bit of education, like this is what it could look like, and just say, here's how you can help me. And I know that they're younger, so it might be different. I don't know how old your kids are, but I think all people do want to help. I do believe that, for the most part.
Get to the point where because they're all grown.
Yeah.
And they have their own families, so I don't.
Sure. Yes.
I don't want to feel like I'm encroaching on and they're busy. All three of them own their own businesses, so they're extremely busy all the time, and I don't want to feel like I'm encroaching on pulling them away from their family or their business. So I got to deal with that. I got to figure out how I can.
That's right.
Present to them. So anyway, that's all I've got, Nadine. If you have any.
I just want to point out something that I think is going to help Philip, about a lot. One of the things is you're thinking about it and you're receptive to help.
Yeah.
So in the world that I've
Yes.
been living in is like the denial, like it's just like I'm fine. Yeah.
Yep.
So not to say I'm just not questioning anything, any severity or any of that, but that makes it so much easier. It would for us if there was just a little bit of cooperation. So good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, I have one more question here, for you, Joe. So I know you've mentioned earlier that there isn't any cure yet, for dementia and Alzheimer's, but we can do early detection, right? So if that happens, can someone still stabilize or recover after an early diagnosis, or is the decline inevitable?
So decline with dementia is inevitable because it's a progressive disease, but you can slow the decline. So we have individuals that we've heard from in our work that are taking medicine that is slowing the decline and it's noticeable for them. Now it's different for everybody. Everybody experiences medicine differently, right? So just keeping that in mind. And it's also a personal decision, but so there's no moving back, there's no recovery, but there is slowing the decline. And people do say that they can notice that difference, which is pretty incredible. That was not happening, a couple of years ago. So,
Right. Right. Yeah. And I feel you've touched on a lot of the key things that you can do:
yes,
diet, exercise, reduce stress, watch your markers.
something as easy as wearing a helmet when you're going for a bike ride, because brain injuries increase your likelihood by 60% of developing dementia or Alzheimer's. So that's something that is really forefront on um, in these conversations is wearing a helmet. Now, I will admit, when I was a kid, we might not have done that. So this is newer, right? Get your helmet on. I know that
Yeah.
that's dating myself a little bit, but it's something as simple as putting a helmet on when you're going out for a bike ride.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much more research. And I mean, we're just living longer now. I have an aunt who
We
called
are.
me the other day. She's checking on my mom and she's had all kinds of challenges. And she said, she said, I never thought I'd live this long. I got all this stuff going on. He said it wasn't planned out this way. I'm like, I haven't heard that one before.
Yeah, I hear that a lot actually from
Yeah.
people. A lot of
Yeah.
women say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I have a personal question. I'm just wondering, what's the youngest individual that you know who have Alzheimer's or dementia?
The youngest reported case that I'm aware of is somebody that I believe was just under 40 in Connecticut.
yeah.
And symptoms, so you can have the markers um, of dementia or Alzheimer's 20 years prior to when symptoms so that's really where the science comes in, is figuring out who has those markers and getting the right treatment in place. So
Yeah.
the
Like,
four I would say 40s is the number that we're seeing.
yeah. Okay.
I gotta take care of my brain. I'm 37.
You're doing great. You're on a
You
health
are
curve, I
doing great,
guess.
Nadine. You're handling us well and navigating this well. So thank you. Or should I
This
say
is
managing?
your health trajectory. It's like,
Yes.
Yeah,
all right. You cut out there, Nadine. One more time.
questions that I have for today.
That's all the questions? Okay, great. So let's do this. Before we wrap up, one thing I want to point out to everybody. I'm going to share my screen here. And Nadine, if you would put a link to this survey in the chat. So we are here at the Disability Digest looking to fill in like some gaps in how we could help you, of which this has been one event. But I potentially see a new opportunity to help people with their life, not only with their life, but to help them get approved and to stay approved for their disability benefits by using a tracker. Like this is a Whoop band, but there are rings like Aura rings, there's Fitbits, there's Apple Watches. And where I see an opportunity for the disability community is it can track things that could be evidence for you. For example, we talked about sleep today. And if you're talking with your doctor and say, well, I'm not sleeping very well, I only sleep like 4 or 5 hours a night, that's your word, and the doctor needs to believe that, and they don't always. But if you provide data from a tracker that goes into your medical records, that solidifies it. So you could do it with this, also with any heart-related conditions, with recovery. So point is, what we would like to learn from you is the information that's asked in the survey. Like, are you aware of these? Are you using one? Would you like to know more about them? So that we could see if this is something that we would further like to explore. And it's definitely relative to today's event because a lot of the things that we talked about. I'll give you one example. I have a naturopath doctor, which is in addition to my primary care. And we've been through a series of things that she is doing with me, like executive physical and all that. And I was going to go for a sleep test just to see how I was sleeping. And then I'm like, I have the data for that. So the Whoop band tracks my sleep and it shows me my sleep quality and how much I'm sleeping. So I showed that to her and she's like, you need to go to a sleep test. So that would have saved me, like, it saved me the money and the time to do all that. So these are some of the things that potentially you might be able to not only increase your evidence, but reduce your need for doctoring. So take a few moments to fill that out. We would appreciate it. All right, before we wrap up one more time, this is Jules, you're on for the phone number. Mm.
Okay, one more time. 1-800-272-3900, 24/7. And as Joe said, it's an underutilized resource. So
Yep.
please reach out. Yeah.
Yep. Last point I want to make before we wrap up here is this. For those of you in our audience, disability applicants, recipients, one of the things that I encourage people to do is if you are looking at finding your purpose or potentially getting back into the workforce, is volunteering. And a volunteering is a way for you, rather than to try to go right back into a work environment, is to put your body in a situation where you're testing it and making a difference. And the number that has been shared with you, there's a great opportunity for you. There's different ways to volunteer. Joe, is there some key things that you could point out about what people may be able to do from a volunteer perspective to help out?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So it can be as little as you show up on walk day and help out with one task. Maybe it's helping out with distributing waters or whatever it is you'd like to do, to as large as testifying for Advocacy Day, which we need both, or working with me. Jules is a community educator, so going out and giving these talks is super important to spreading awareness. And then facilitating support groups, which is what Rhonda does, Brian. So
Yep.
many, and the volunteers that I work with are more monthly, regular. There's one-offs too. There's other ways to get involved, and if you want to know more, reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you about that.
All right. So there's opportunities to volunteer that are in the like 10-ish hours a week type deal. Is that right? Like in that time frame, or is they more like events?
More like events, and I would say the most commitment is on my end. Is it's about anywhere from 5 to 7 at the most hours a month. It's very light. It's a light lift in terms of the
Perfect.
time commitment. So
Perfect.
uh yeah, that's thinking about all the different opportunities. I think that is the most that we ask of people. And even then, people become educators and they might travel for a year or go to school or have family commitments that we're talking about today. They can go away and come back and it's totally fine. So
Yeah.
we accept
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. good way to make a difference. Thanks for sharing that.
Yes, you'll
So,
feel a daily impact, definitely. Yep.
Yep. So listen, I want to thank you, Joe and Jules, for your contribution today and helping come out here. And hopefully we've educated some folks. They're going to be going to the store and get a Mediterranean diet and doing all the right things that they can do to, not get the knockout punch. So that's what we hope for people. Philip, thank you for joining us, your participation. Nadine, excellent job as always. So appreciate it. This replay will be available. If you're just joining us, you can go back to the beginning and start and enjoy it. So thanks again, Joe. All right.
Thank you.